I have a couple videos I'm going to play, and I need to pause the recording when I do that so we don't get it taken down for copyright infringement. YouTube is pretty tight on that stuff. And then Al will provide the links for it. Let me just make sure this is. Yep, there we go. We are live. All right, back to Keynote. Perfect. I can click that. So tonight, the welcome, in the welcome is going to be some pictures and stuff. We're going to have announcements from members and the audience, tech Q&A, and then we'll round up the first part, and we may go beyond 8, so we won't worry about that. Al has a plate full of good information. Then I'm going to talk about iCloud backup and iOS 16.2, which just dropped. And I'm going to talk about a new app called Freeform, which just came out, and I haven't had a chance to play with it, but I want to show it to you, and we will do a full review of it at the first Saturday class. So that being said, I should do full screen, excuse me. Great. So I'm sorry I've been missing in action for a while. I've kind of been jaunting around the world. And it was, gosh, a month ago? No, not quite a month ago. I was in Iceland. This is just some of the nice coastline. And what a wonderful country. I was there 2 weeks, and I had gone actually a company called Mac. It used to be called Mac Fun. It's now Skyloom. They make photographic software, and the main one is Luminar. And they had a camp that you could pay to attend, and there were 6 very well-known professional photographers that were there to help the 30 of us that attended this camp. And I'll tell you, man, and it's a whole different deal. You're along, I'm on the beach, and I see something, and they come in and see 6 different ways to see things. And it was just such a great learning experience, and fantastic people. And man, I will do it again next camp they have. I was lucky enough to experience the Northern Lights 3 nights. This was with an iPhone, and this little church here is called the Black Church because all the churches look exactly the same, and this one just happened to be painted black. But an interesting part here was there was this bright spotlight lighting up this church at night because, that way you can see it. That's how churches advertise. It's up on a hill, and it was right next to where the hotel we were staying at. So I had to take my vest and put it over that big spotlight because it just ruined the photos. So the whole time we were shooting this, I had taken that down. So always observe your situation and something like this. And thank goodness I tested the light first. It was an LED light because the heat would have burned up my vest if it was a regular light. Now, this is the help of these photographers. So this is called Diamond Beach. And when the glacier calves, it goes down a river. And then when these little icebergs, mini icebergs, hit the waves, they actually get broken up into these small pieces of ice. And the glacier ice, when you see it's really blue, it actually it gets compressed so much there's no oxygen in it. But this was done with my big camera, and this was actually an exposure. It was I think it was about a second or so, but we're in rubber boots up to our knees. My tripod's there. You're in waves. They keep crashing in. And here what you did, you took the photo when the wave was in, and then it gives you these streaks on the way out. So it was a great effect. This was sunrise. This was the next day. And this was actually a block of ice that had broken off. And it looks like an ice carving, but this is natural. And this was almost 6 foot tall.
Wow.
So same ice. This was a little later in the sunrise. So you can see the sun reflecting through it. This is actually an iPhone photo, and I was working on getting crashing waves, and I used live photo for this, and it kind of subdued it. Again, the same ones. Oh, and I should mention, you'll notice the beach is black. It is black sand because it's all volcanic. So all the when the rocks get broken down into sand, they're black. This is Northern Lights. This is actually the little bay where the glacier stuff comes here, and then from here it floats to the ocean, and these chunks get broken up into what you just saw. This is another area that's really kind of wild, and this I just like the light here in this. This is the next day, the tide was in farther, and this darker area in the middle, a lot of the photographers got some incredible reflections because it was totally calm water and it was all reflecting there. So these are just two shots, kind of almost at the same place, but you can see the different effects of how you do the shutter release. And my favorite one, oh, that's not my favorite one, but this one I really liked for the streaks.
Nice.
I'm going to take this into Luminar, and I will actually be able to lighten. I'm not really faking anything. I can just kind of use like you would in a dark room. I'm going to lighten up these ice crystals. But down here in the lower right, you can see the black sand beach and all these pebbles and stuff. And they had just been washed by a wave, and this wave is going out. And this was sunrise, and this one was just awesome. And great colors, a real angry sky and stuff. And so just a really fun time. And this is called, it's called the Golden Circle, and it's in the southeast corner of Iceland. We had I went with Ken Henry, and we drove all the way around Iceland in 5 days, and it's 1,125 miles and a lot of countryside and a lot of stuff. But this was with the photo camp where we sat here, and we'd go to this beach and you would shoot for an hour and a half, 2 hours in all kinds of different spots. You weren't doing typical tourists, let's see how many stops we can make. So then 2 weeks after, so I got home from Iceland. The day after I got home from Iceland, that was election day, was the next day after I landed. I went and did my civic duty. And then that night I got sick and felt like I'd been hit by a truck. So I finally caught COVID, as did 8 other people from the trip. And so I was really concerned because within 2 weeks, I have a trip to Antarctica planned. So I was really sweating it. And the symptoms lasted about 6 days. And then I was fine. And luckily, within a few days, I tested and I was negative. So my tradition, my mom used to do it for 30 years. Our family they would take the whole family on a trip over Thanksgiving, and she always took a fold-up turkey with her. So I had Thanksgiving dinner with my fold-up turkey, and there was not turkey on the plate. So anyway, I had my turkey. This is the ship I was on, an incredible vessel. It's by Viking, and it's called the Viking Polaris. They have a sister ship called the Octantis. So at 7:30 in the morning, we went out these little doors you can see in the middle, and we're on a Zodiac boat, and we landed just to the right over here where you see these poles, and we landed and actually set foot on Antarctica. And they provide these jackets, and they're pretty warm, and I've got the life vest on, and I've got my backpack with my cameras and all that. And so this was just somebody used my iPhone. Oh, let's go back. So anyway, there's penguin colonies, or these little black specks you see in the back. We got really close to penguins when the boat landed. Because the boat kind of disturbed, there wasn't thick ice, but there was just a little bit of an ice film. So when the boat came in and disturbed that, the penguins loved it, and they're bopping all around and stuff. But it was too quick. I never got any pictures of penguins except from a distance. So that's Antarctica. And then unfortunately, on one of the Zodiacs, there was a very freak accident that is just still under investigation. And the Zodiac raft, actually, those inflatable boats, there was some sort of explosion that launched a lady 3 to 5 feet in the air, and it broke her leg as it launched her straight up. And so she had a broken leg in 2 spots, and it was a clean break. And they had to determine, because first of all, the Zodiacs are how you do your landings and everything else. There's 12 Zodiacs on the ship, and they basically said, nope, we're not using any more Zodiacs till we know what happened, because obviously they don't want it to happen again. And they needed to get her. It's pretty big weather and a long way. So the boat, instead of 7 days in Antarctica, on our second day, we started heading back to what's called Ushuaia, which is in Tierra del Fuego. It was the lady's 19th cruise. She was in great spirits, but she needed to get to surgery. So our boat headed back through what's called Drake's Passage, which, me as a sailor, the Southern Ocean and Drake's Passage are notorious. It has killed more sailors than anywhere else in the world, because it's where the Atlantic and the Pacific meet, and incredible weather patterns go through. This is during the day on November 29th. And that later than this is around 5, the seas were 20 to 25 foot high and 70-mile-an-hour winds. So in the night around 10:30, a rogue wave, which is 2 waves get together. The rogue wave was about 25 feet tall. 45 feet high. And it's not just the point of a wave. If you think about depth of a swimming pool, the water came and splashed up my window and stayed up on my window for 2 seconds or more, because the wave was probably 20 feet thick in that distance. It hit the boat broadside. It was totally a freak wave. The water went up and even went into a cabin on the 4th deck, which is actually the 5th deck, because there's deck A. So it was 45 feet above the water line, and it jolted the boat. There was a gentleman that his cabin got destroyed because the water came in, and basically everything happened. Unfortunately, one lady passed away from what happened is all the cabinetry and everything in the cabins just came down. The boat itself was so structurally sound. The boat was handling these waves just perfectly, but a rogue wave that size comes out of nowhere, and it had so much force that when it actually hit the side of the boat and broke some of the windows of the cabins near me, it actually, the gentleman, this guy in 3 cabins away, been a seaman all his life, and he's a master captain, which is a certification you get, and he's able to pilot any vessel in the world up to 500 tons, which is a big vessel. So he knows what he's talking about, and he thought another vessel had hit us. That's the force that it was. Anyway, the vessel was fine. My room got a little water in it. There were 26 of us that were impacted by this. I can't speak highly enough. I'll tell you more about the story on the Saturday class. So there were 26 of us stuck on the ship while the other people were sent back to Buenos Aires and sent home. And as I'm going up to it's 2 hours before we're getting off the ship for the last time on this ship. And as I'm walking to the dining room, I had not seen this is on the wall. I had not seen this before. And it was very poignant. Live life with no excuses, travel with no regrets, from Oscar Wilde. And then we're up in the cafeteria again. There's 26, there's crew members, but there's only 26 passengers left on the boat. And it's everyone that actually got water in the room. I got water in my room, but not a lot. Anyway, and all of a sudden we look out the back of the boat and there was a rainbow. And I'll tell you, there was not a dry eye in the house. That was so symbolic of, hey, it's done. It's a new beginning. And it gives me goosebumps right now thinking about it. This is looking out. This is into Beagle Channel, it's called, right off Ushuaia, where the boat was docked. Anyway, so I had bought the post cruise extension for 5 days in Patagonia. So I went to, there's a little town in Patagonia, just like Tierra del Fuego, It's half Chile and half Argentina. And this is the Argentinian side near a town called El Calafate. And this huge glacier, you can see it goes way, way up. And this is only the third largest glacier in Argentina, but it's the one that's most accessible. And this glacier sometimes even reaches all the way over to the other side of land, but it calved and made loud cracking sounds while we were there. It moves at, I believe it moves 2 meters a day. So it's pretty amazing. It's a very active glacier. So it's moving. This glacier is neither shrinking nor expanding. It's totally stable. It's always getting more stuff added up on top as stuff falls on the bottom. So then we went to a place that I really, really wanted to go to. I'd seen pictures of it on my bucket list, Torre del Paine. And this is the mountains, and this is in Chile, the Chilean part of Patagonia. And these peaks are very much like the Dolomites in Italy. You kind of can see them from all different sides. And there's a thing where runners will do all around the base of the whole thing. And it's a big thing to do. Again, more of the same mountains. This is from the hotel we stayed at, called Rio Sereno, and it's in this valley, and you look up and this is the view from my hotel room. So it was pretty rough. Well, when we arrived, it was about 5 p.m, and it was still light out. And I'd seen pictures of this and I knew the direction it was, but there was so much cloud cover and mist and everything. I could not see there was a mountain there when we arrived. And we're all going, oh yeah, this is a big deal. So the second morning I was there, I set my alarm for 4:40 in the morning because sunrise was around 5. And I looked out my window and this moon was not there. Both mornings I woke up at 4:40 and there wasn't a moon there the day before. And I think it was just the position of the clouds. But this is an iPhone photo through my window. And as I'm take these pictures really quick and I'm rushing and I get out there and start taking some other pictures with my tripod, and it was just amazing. This was a river that's right there, and this was about this. The moon is still here, and this was about a half hour after the first one. But this is the classic shot you see of this range. And this is we did a little road trip up to here, really neat lake.
Ideas of the direction of our lives.
And then this is another area, and this is a different glacier because the other glacier was in Argentina. This one's in Chile. And then this little barge thing here, it was funny, as we're going along the trail, from the side, this thing actually looked like a ship. And then since I didn't get too many photos of penguins, we were in a little boutique. And so I've got a picture of a penguin here. So, and that's my only good picture of a penguin. So then I was back. I got back Monday night, or I got back Monday at 11:30 in the afternoon. And the next day I went skiing. So I just kind of, that's it. So
nice.
it was fantastic. And I have to mention Viking, these two incidents were totally not in their control. I have so much respect for how they treated everyone, and they have come through with offers of cash refund and credits and for future cruises and everything over the top, beyond what you could imagine. And this company, so when the first accident happened on the Zodiac, we're cutting our trip like a week short. Within 24 hours, they had arranged for when we dropped the lady off to have surgery, they'd already changed and had the cruise going to Chilean fjords, to all these other places. And finding tours and everything for a ship, and then having land tours and all this, they responded so quick. And, they're that would be a different country to get the clearances. This boat is 665 foot long, and it just blew me away. But of course, once the boat got compromised with the windows and everything else, they it had to stay in port. And so then they arranged tours for us in Ushuaia, and the people that flew back to Buenos Aires, they put them in the nicest hotel in Buenos Aires for 5 nights, and they were doing tours for them in around Buenos Aires every day. And it's the hotel that dignitaries stay at. So it was just, it was amazing, and they spared no expense. And it was from their heart, the right thing to do. It wasn't like they were trying to cover their butts, because neither of these things was Viking's fault. All right, so let's move on to, member announcements or volunteer announcements. Cheryl, you got your thing taken care of, so you don't need to do that announcement. Is that correct? Cheryl Souza? Bob, you interacted with her. That was taken care of.
Yeah,
right?
it's taken care of.
Okay, great.
Her daughter actually drove down the Bay Area and cased the place and got her phone back.
So what happened is Cheryl's daughter, someone grabbed her phone when she was at a 49er game, I think, or something. And she used the Find My Phone thing. And it turned out it was down in Hollister. And she, and so she found it, then went down, put a note on the door, and anyway, got it back. So that Find My Phone stuff is great. So
Be
Like
careful.
I commented back to Cheryl, I says, your kid's got a lot of grit. And she says, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
I had something like that happen to me, and the phone was found in Lincoln. I went to the Lincoln Police Department because I wasn't going to go, knock on somebody's door, and they helped me find the phone. I dropped it, somebody took it and thought they were going to sell it, but
yeah, and
just
then
as
they
a
really can't,
caution,
because
yes,
they're bricked.
yeah, if you know where it is, talk to the cops. Don't
And
go
Lincoln
by
was
yourself.
responsive, because I live in Lincoln. So
Yeah,
good.
it was
Glad to
one of
hear
your
it.
neighbors, no doubt, huh?
It wasn't at my house. No.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, and so here's a little tip, you guys, because this happened to us on the cruise. And I should say that this thing wasn't a regular cruise. They call these expeditions. So part of the thing with the Zodiacs is there were 2 6-passenger submarines on this boat. There's all kinds of stuff like that. It's just amazing. And I'll go into that on Saturday more.
Wow.
If you pick up a phone and don't know whose it is, if they have filled out the My Card, you can press the Siri button on the side and say, whose phone is this? And it will do it. I'll see if it does it on mine. Whose phone is this?
I believe this iPhone belongs to Ken.
Did you guys hear that?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So Siri is your friend. Now, it doesn't always work, but anyway. So any other volunteer announcements? Anybody have anything? Anybody?
Kim, this really isn't relevant to that, but we have someone in as Zoom user. We're gonna need a name on that for the raffle.
Yeah, so to make sure, if you're if you go to participants, if you hit the participants button and you come up, you will be if on yours, the first thing that says me will be you, and it'll say Zoom user. We need you to change it from Zoom user to your real name, or you can unmute yourself and tell us your name. And then we also have Hyson. Hyson, we need a first and last name, please.
Sam Bennett.
And I think that's all. Thank you, Lisa, for that. That's so you can participate in the raffle, and all members are eligible for the raffle.
I'm
All right.
guessing that's Phil Hyson, by the way. So,
Okay, well then if you've got it, then we're good.
yeah.
So we're going to do tech Q&A, and I have a question that was mailed in or emailed in. And actually, let's go ahead and stop share. That's not needed. All right. So this was a question about internet speed needs and coverage. It says, I would like some help deciding if I should pay $20 a month extra to increase my internet speed from 50 megabytes to 200, megabits to 250 megabits, though my provider, which is Consolidated Communications, through the provider. Or should I buy a mesh router system? I haven't added any devices recently, but my Peloton exercise bike and my TV have started spinning during playback and saying my internet speed isn't fast enough, and then usually starts playing again after a brief pause. The router's in the office. It's a 1,200 square foot home. The bike and TV are in the other end. And is it better and more economical to increase speed with Consolidated or add a mesh router? So really, really good question. And it's got a couple components to it. So when your internet in your house, we're going to go backwards. We're going to start with your Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi coverage, and Wi-Fi is like a light bulb. And what happens is, if you're twice as far away from the light bulb, if you go from 10 feet to 20 feet, it's 1/4 the strength. In other words, it declines logarithmically. So in other words, the signal strength drops and drops and drops. Now, generally speaking, most routers have a 2.4 and a 5 gigahertz, or you'll have one that doesn't say 2.4, but it is, and you'll have a 5 gigahertz. So here's the deal between those. 5 gigahertz is a newer band, and it's faster, but it doesn't travel as far. So in other words, in this case, she has the TV and the Peloton farther from the router. So the 2.4, while the speed isn't as good, the signal is stronger because it's all based on the frequency. Lower frequency means it's a longer wave and it penetrates things better. The 5 gigahertz is a higher frequency. You don't have as much obstruction from other people's routers, but it doesn't travel as far. And the interesting thing is that it's good if you have a lot of neighbor signals around. The 5G will find its value there. But and also many of your devices, like certain locks and different things, Wise cameras and stuff, they want a 2.4 gigahertz network. So she asked about mesh routers. So the newest thing is, you basically need to, the router is putting out a Wi-Fi signal and it's not getting efficiently to the back room. And you need to find a way to do that. You could hardwire the house. That's one thing, where you put an Ethernet into there and all that. Or we used to do repeaters where you'd have an Apple Airport base station and then an extender. The problem with extenders is they repeat the signal, but the problem is they cut the speed in half because they have one antenna and it both transmits and receives. So there's some new stuff out there called mesh routers, where you basically put one of them, the base of it. They have a base and satellites, in other words, other ones, and they all look the same. So some of them just have 3 satellites. But what happens is it transmits to the satellite, and the satellite has a transmit and receive frequency, so it doesn't cut the bandwidth down. Now, the mistake a lot of people make is the routers, and again, let's just use this house. We'll pretend like it's a rectangular house, and we've got the router at the left-hand end, and the right-hand end is where you want the signal. Don't just put it all the way in where the right hand is, where everything is, because then you've got a huge distance between them. You're better off splitting the difference and putting the second one, the satellite, maybe halfway, because it's getting a strong signal from the router, and then it's also a strong signal to there. Many mesh systems generally come with 3 devices. So you would have one base and then 2 extensions, and you can figure out where they go. A 1,200-foot house, she might only need 1. So, and Al posted Eero is very good. I really like the Eero stuff, EERO. And they're
Amazon's
owned
been
by Amazon. I'm sorry.
Amazon's got some great deals on the Eros. I
Yeah,
picked
and
up a
always
set
check
myself.
Costco too.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but what you want to look for now is
Wi-Fi 6.
yep, Wi-Fi 6 or 6E. Now, I don't think you necessarily need 6E because it's the cutting edge, so it's very pricey. Wi-Fi 6 is almost as good, and in these cases, it's significantly less. So Amazon's got great stuff. Eero is easy to set up, and get Wi-Fi 6. Don't be suckered into the one that's 5 because you'll hate it because you're going to have the router for 8 to 10 years. Now, here's the thing. This is Ken's tip of the day and a secret. And it's funny, even before this question, I had it on my tips and tricks list here. If you're like me, I have 30 something devices that are connected to my router. I have my Amazon Alexa Echoes. I have a lock. I have my home pods. I have my computer. I have all of those are connected to my current internet or my current Wi-Fi router. So if you get a new Wi-Fi router, it's really hard. Think about
Sorry, I can't help.
think about how hard it was to put your TV to hook to your Wi-Fi and those weird little menus where you're going up and down, left, right to spell it, right? That's so tough. So here's the trick. If you're going to install this yourself, make sure you know what your Wi-Fi, it's called the SSID. In other words, the name of your network. And you're going to maybe have 2. You're going to have one that's a 2.4. It may or may not say 2.4 after it. And you'll have also a 5G. And it may be a different name. It may say, like in my case, Ken's Wi-Fi network with a 5G after it. You need to have the spelling of the SSID exactly as it is. It's case sensitive. If it has dashes, if it has spaces, it has to be exact. And what you do is you go into the new router and you give it the exact same name and the exact same password. And when you do that password, it's case sensitive. Capital letters, very important. In a password, you'll never have a space. And so if you do that, all your devices will hook to the new router. Now, if you have, in the case of this, like if she upgraded with CCS, they may come and bring a new router for her. So if they do that, you implore the technician, and here's how you say it. And I just did this email with somebody just yesterday. If they're putting in a new router, you say, okay, configure it with my old router settings. And if they mumble and rule like this, I say, well, you have a choice. You can go through and reset all my 20 devices for me, or you can do this. So it's wonderful, and it makes a huge difference. Mary, I saw your hand pop up. And then Bev, is yours about the Wi-Fi or something else?
Bev is something else.
Okay.
And mine is on the
if you could
Wi-
hold on, if you could hold on real quick, and I'll do Mary's question.
Well, because just about what you were talking about, I was trying to figure out where I find out the SD, whatever it is.
SSID, go up
yeah.
to your Wi-Fi logo on any of your device. It's that name there.
But mine is just like Sam. It isn't.
Then it should be exactly the same.
Oh, okay. It isn't necessarily the factory one.
No, in fact,
Okay.
some people some people they'll put in your password is your landline phone number and all that. But the SSID is what you see when you hit the Wi-Fi logo, or if somebody comes over to your house, they press that and then they put a password in.
Okay, got it. Thank
So
you for
the
clarifying that.
SSID is just it's your name of your network is how you think of it.
Well, when you go on, just for everybody else, when you go up under the the little sign on your header, it's called a preferred networks and it lists them. There.
All of those are names. So you'll know yours will be the one that is, yes, it used on older systems, it'll have a check mark, and on newer ones, it says preferred. So it's also on your iOS, you can see it. And now if you hit on iOS, if you hit the little blue I, the letter I, it'll show you your password.
Thank
Okay,
you.
is Chris, this was your question, so go ahead and pop in, and then I'll go answer Bev's question. And you need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you very much for all that. Then,
Oh, and
Would you-
I've got part two. I'm sorry. Is that what you're going
would
to
you-
ask about?
would you lean towards the mesh system as being
No.
more?
So I got too entailed in the mesh, and I forgot your first part. Do you need to upgrade the service? So here's what that is. So you might need to do both, or you might only need to do one. So what you need to do is, Al, go ahead and post links for speedtest.net and Ookla, please. On your Mac, you can go to a website called, and what I want you to do is, here's how you test it. Do you have a laptop, Chris?
I do have a laptop, and I do, I'm paying for the 50.
No.
Okay.
Yes or no, you have a laptop. That's all
Yes.
we need to know. So what you're going to do on your laptop is you're going to go right next to where the router is. And you're going to go to speedtest.net, not .com, all one word, speedtest.net. And when that pops up, don't respond to any of the ads there, but you're just going to click go, and you're going to do a speed test, and it will tell you what speed you're getting right there. And then go all the way down to where the TV and the Peloton is and do a speed test there. Because by doing it at the actual router, it will tell you what you're getting from your internet provider. And then you're going to see how bad the loss is over in the other room. If it's tremendously lower, that will signify what you need to get for that. And you said you're currently at 50. So hopefully when you're nearby, you should get pretty close to 50, and you can test it a few times.
Yeah. Okay.
There's going to be a couple components to that. The first little thing, it'll say ping time. Actually, you know what? Let me share my screen. I'll do a speedtest.net because everybody should do this. This is how you do it. So hang on here. Share screen. All right. Let me go to Safari.
Can I help you?
Speed test. Wow, it didn't come right up. That's weird. .net. So you get this screen, and don't forget all these ads, and then you'll get them to say, is your Mac running slow? Forget all that stuff, and then click go. So now it's doing a test. I pay for 100, and I'm hardwired, so I know that this is the speed I'm getting from Wave Broadband, or now called us down. So you'll notice there's some readings here. So I'm getting right at 100 down. I tested it last night and it was at 105. So I'm right at 100, which is what I pay for. And by the way, you can test this on an iPad or an iPhone, and it's the company is Ookla, Ookla, and they have the speed test app. So what we've got, see, they do have an app for the thing. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, my ping time. So ping is 24 milliseconds, which is good. If your ping time is over 100, it's not very good. And all a ping time means is when I hit apple.com, when it sends that information, how quick does just that little piece of data come back to me? It's not the whole download. It's just saying, how fast is that little packet of data going? Download is how good of my reception is. 50 is fine if you're getting 50 for your other stuff. But again, what's it like in the other room? And upload, most people don't really care about this, because you're not uploading big files. And this is how it works on both DSL, which would be AT&T, or you guys use Xfinity. This would be cable. This would be how it would be. And if you have fiber, your upload and your download are going to be very close to each other. So that's that. So if you test it, you're going to get a good barometer, and feel free to email me your results. And that way we'll kind of get an idea whether you need both or one. I would say if you're getting close, if you're getting 50 at the router, you're good. You don't, and then if you're getting 50 back in the bedroom, you definitely have to up to date your speed. If you're getting 10 back in the bedroom, you're going to probably have to, I would get a mesh setup. The other thing is, if your router that your internet provider gave you, or is, they might be charging you per month, sometimes those need updating, and the newer ones have better signal strength. Some of them may even have Wi-Fi 6 by now. So you can always investigate that, but if they change it, you've got to make sure they change the names. One other tip: wherever your router is, it's not a good idea to have it on the floor. It should be counter high. And the reason I say that is, if you think about your house, if you put it on top of a counter or on top of a desk, it doesn't have to go through all the pots and pans in your cabinets and all the cabinets and everything else. It's a radio signal. It has a cleaner path to go help everything. So that's kind of long and drawn out, but I think this is something that's important for everyone, because I've had a lot of people upgrading routers and things like that recently. So, okay.
Thank you very.
You bet. And Bev, let's go with your question, then we'll go to Randy.
Okay, way earlier, I saw Al posted the different current updates. And what caught my eye was Apple TV. And I'm relatively new to my Apple TV, and I know nothing about updating the darn little thing.
Sure. So it's probably set on automatic, but otherwise, if you go to the menu, the little gear, and you go into menu and you go into system,
And first
and
off,
then under
backing up
system
really
settings, you'll
basic,
see, kind of like all your other devices, you'll see software update.
well, Kent, where would I find the gear? On my phone? Use my phone?
No, this is on you have to be on your Apple TV, and you go to the main screen. If you hit menu a few times, it gets back to the main screen.
Okay.
And in the main screen, you'll see settings.
Okay.
Click settings, and then it's been so long. Settings, I believe it's system, and then system, it should say software update. But you'll find it. Just follow the breadcrumbs.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Randy, go for it.
Yes, while you were back on the routers, just something that I did, you may want to point out, just a recommendation that worked well for me, saved a few dollars on a monthly rental, as well with Wave or Astound, I'm sorry, in Rockland, is also, if you're getting a mesh, what I did, I also got a modem. I got a Motorola, kind of one of the top of the line modems. And if you do that, you just have to register, easy, step, the numbers like you.
This only applies to people that are cable. So that would be Xfinity, Comcast, and in our case, Wave and Astound.
Right. So saved a few bucks a month on the rental since I bought a Motorola modem, but I did get the Eero 3-pack with a base station and 2 satellites. It works great. I'm
and pretty easy to set up, isn't it?
Oh, for me, it was very easy, actually. I didn't need to call you, Ken.
Yeah.
No.
That's okay. I probably wasn't around.
That's true.
So, and now if he had a home phone by that company, that won't work, because they then have to give you that box. Also, like if you're in Comcast Xfinity or AT&T and you're using a home line, that's a problem with it. But the big news on all of this is everyone should go to T-Mobile.com/ISP, Al, you could do, and also provide a link for Verizon Home Internet. If you're in an area that's serviced by either of those with good 5G, they have some fantastic deals, and it doesn't come in over the cable or the phone lines. It's over the 5G. I have 6 people that I have put on T-Mobile. They are incredibly happy with it. It's $50 a month, no contract, nothing else, no rental fee. If you don't like it, you give them the router back and you go. And it's a newer router, and Verizon has it. And I think it depends if you're a Verizon wireless customer or not. It can be between $25 and $60, and they're locking in the price for 60 days. And while I don't like, 10 years, while I don't like Verizon as a cell provider and stuff, if you can get either one of those, it's a way to try. And what I recommend is, if you change internet providers, try the new one for a month to make sure everything works great before you let go of the old one, because otherwise you're just making all these changes a bunch of times and all that. So
And make sure the router is compatible with whoever your service provider.
well, that's if you're on
is.
cable, and you just have to, you have to check. They have accepted routers and
Yes.
like that. And that's getting kind of into the weeds on that. All right, Elaine, go for it.
Hi there. This may be a Wi-Fi related question, but when you're talking on a FaceTime call, and in our case, it's either an iPad or an iPhone 12, and we're sitting there, we're not moving, we're on the phone, on the call for 20, 25 minutes. And then the person on the other end goes fuzzy. It looks like it freezes. They can't hear us talk anymore. And then the signal comes back and it seems to cycle. And I'm just wondering if is that a bandwidth issue? Is it my equipment in the house issue? Do you have any?
And is it always happen to the same individual or anybody?
I would say anybody, but
Okay.
it does happen. I mean, we have a weekly call with our, the kids in San Francisco.
And you're doing it on a mobile device?
You would do iPad or iPhone.
Okay. For grins, try a different location in the house and see if it does it. But one thing is, if you're on a 2.4 gigahertz network and somebody turns a microwave on, boom, there goes your signal. That's the same frequency, believe it or not.
Huh.
And sometimes on a 2.4, you can be affected by neighbors and things. But the other thing is, now, who's your internet provider?
So we have our local city. I'm in Ashland, Oregon. It's the
Right.
city of
But
Ashland.
is it over the phone line or over a cable line, or is it Wi-Fi?
Cable.
Okay, so
We have a
cable's
wi-
fine.
I believe we have fiber. I believe we have a fiber.
Oh, if you have fiber, then that shouldn't be an interference thing. If anybody's still on AT&T DSL, that's kind of not even considered broadband anymore. So, Bev, then Bob.
Oh, I'm not in a new question.
Okay, Mr. White.
I just want a quick add to the mesh thing, which you kind of missed, is most of the mesh systems have a app that comes with them, and the app is very good at helping you find the spots in your house to place the satellites. That's all.
Actually, great point.
Yeah.
And
that's all.
that reminded me too, if you get the Verizon or the T-Mobile, basically you're getting a little cell thing, and they actually tell you where in the house is the best place to set that. And then it's a router that you might have to get a mesh system to do the rest of your house. But again, the newer routers that are out there may even just be all you need because they're stronger. So if you are going to change providers, check that first, or in Chris's place, find out if you have a really old router, have them send a new router, and you might get better coverage just because it's better and it's newer. All right, moving along. Were there any other tech questions from the audience? because we only had the one mail in, and I don't think we had any Purple Mac questions. So,
No, I didn't get any.
Joan,
Other
go
than
right
the one
ahead.
Yes,
Already
is the,
answered.
is the 5G system on T-Mobile, I've just got it. Is that pretty safe for banking and stuff?
Yes, in fact, it's the 5G has so basically when you travel and everything else, you're encrypted end to end when you're on the cellular network, whereas on Wi-Fi, you don't know who's running that Wi-Fi network. So it's probably more secure than your Comcast or any of those, but you still have that Wi-Fi place, man in the middle thing. But no, I would give it, I think it has more security than if you were on cable, but not by much. But no, it's nothing to be worried about in that regard. Did you get the T-Mobile
Correct.
and your speeds are good?
I haven't really checked the speeds.
Yeah. Do the speed test thing. I think you'll be happy.
Okay.
All righty. Oh, Mary, it's funny. The hand's hard to see with the background, but go
Oh,
right
yeah,
ahead.
you see that. The question I have is if you go to the T-Mobile Wi-Fi for your home, like now I have cable and I get TV stations and that stuff.
You have to
have that
weigh all that
option?
because you have a bundle and a package.
Yeah.
And so you could continue to have your TV, but your TV price may go up. So you have to sit there and weigh all that information. But a lot of people are cutting the cable now and doing YouTube TV and things like that. So you can do that with either one. For instance, where I am, I'm about a mile from being able to get T-Mobile, and I would love to have T-Mobile, but I'm not close enough to the tower. So they say, no, I can't get it because they don't want me to have degraded service. So I cut the cable for my TV and everything from Astound, which was called Wave, and I only get internet from them now.
Okay.
Okay. Yep, you bet. All right. So that's it for Tech Q&A. Mr. Al Trivet has put some stuff together as he always does. He's on top of all the news and all that. And it's your turn. You can go ahead and share your screen, Al. And I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Okay. All righty here. Oops. Make sure I get the right television, right screen.
Yeah, he's got like 18 monitors in control in his control center there. He looks like SpaceX when they show those pictures of the launches,
You go in
Okay.
his room, it's like going in a submarine with a bunch of Macs.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
We see your screensaver.
Okay. That's not what I want here.
We see your wonderful thing that you put together. Now we see your desktop.
Okay, let's
wait.
try this again here.
Well, wait, I see picture in picture down in the Logitech.
Okay, I gotta pick which screen, and okay, there we go. Okay, I share that one and start to play. All righty. Are you seeing the We Wish You a Merry Christmas?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Okay, here. Good evening, everyone. This is obviously our Apple Tech News segment and stuff. It's been a busy week. On Tuesday, Apple released what will probably be the last software updates of 2022. First up is iOS 16.2. It's the second major update since it dropped in September 12th, the original iOS 16. Apple announced many of these new features at their summer iOS 16 showcase during the Worldwide Developers Conference. They're just now making it to our phones. Here's a brief summary of some of the top features. I'll go through these kind of quick. They have a new advanced data protection for extra iCloud security. They also have this thing called Apple Music Sing, which is a karaoke style feature that lets you sing along with your favorite tracks. Let's see here. Also, there's an app called Freeform.
And Al will always give us links for all of this stuff. So don't feel like you have to write this stuff down.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
He's got this all in links, so you'll get it later.
Yeah, absolutely. They've also come out with an app called Freeform that Ken will be covering here with some detail. It's essentially a virtual whiteboard for cross-platform collaboration. There's also the next item I've got is there's an always-on display customization, which allows iPhone 14 Pro and Max owners to tweak their screens. I guess for assortment of medical and other kinds of things. They've added an AirDrop restriction that limits its functionality to 10 minutes max for sharing with users that are not in your contacts list. They've had some controversy about that, but it's probably a good thing. There are also some new lock screen widgets that allow easy access tools for managing medications and monitoring sleep. I thought that was pretty good. And for those of us who are into sports, sports scores and live activities for quick updates on the iPhone lock screen and dynamic island. If you're into athletics and want to keep up with that kind of stuff, it's wonderful. SharePlay support in Game Center, of course. The weather app adds some new stories, which allows some cities to get regional updates from Apple News when they're available. And the 10th item here for iOS 16.2 is an updated home app. I've tweaked some of the architecture to give some of the home automation a boost. Alongside iOS 16.2, Apple released the latest OS update for the Mac. macOS 13.1 comes with its own version of Freeform. Freeform, of course, is a flexible canvas that lets you add files, images, stickies, and other things. Like I said before, allows for collaboration with others on a Mac, an iPad, and iPhone. And Ken will be demoing more of that later. This update also includes some end-to-end encryption for messages, photos, backups, and more in iCloud. And with all the hoopla and concern about privacy, I think this is just the latest iteration of Apple, just turning the screws to make us as safe as we can possibly be in a world that's changing pretty quickly. Along with the iOS 16.2, Apple released iPadOS 16.2 for iPad users. While the new version of the operating system comes with the same refinements as the iPhone version, it also adds new features specific to the iPad, such as support for external displays when using Stage Manager. Just like iOS 16.2, iPadOS 16.2 adds Apple's new Freeform app for notes and collaborative projects, a new and more reliable architecture to the Home app, and Apple Music Sing, which I was talking about before, which enables a karaoke experience for Apple Music subscribers. iPadOS 16.2 also enables tracking notifications for the first time on the iPad. With these alerts, the iPad can detect if an unknown AirTag is moving with you. These alerts were already available on the iPhone, but not on the iPad. Next up, Apple's also released Watch OS 9.2 to the public, mainly focusing on bug fixes and some performance upgrades on an assortment of different exercise items. The last thing they released on Tuesday was tvOS, which 16.2.2 as well. With tvOS 16.2, Apple TV is finally getting a multi-user voice recognition for Siri. This is a feature already available on the HomePod that identifies voices of different people so that they can make personal requests to Siri based on their own data. Since the feature is integrated with Apple TV user profiles, Siri can change profiles, play songs, and give recommendations based on the voice of the user who's talking to the virtual assistant. tvOS is even able to associate the voice profile of the user's iPhone to identify the voice automatically. tvOS 16.2 also adds Apple Music Sing for Apple Music subscribers. With this feature, users can control the level of the vocals in the song so that so it can be just slightly reduced or almost completely removed for a full playback. So if you're a karaoke fan, there you go. Unfortunately, Apple Music, let's see, I got an issue here, is only compatible with the latest third generation 4K that was introduced in 2022. So if that's a feature that's of interest to you, it might require an upgrade for your Apple TV. The update also supports the new home app architecture, which makes the experience of controlling smart home accessories more reliable and efficient. Next up, Apple announced the winners of the 2022 App Store Awards, spotlighting 16 apps and games. Here are some of the winners here. There's a picture of all the folks that who are lucky enough to be recognized. This year's iPhone app is a social app called Be Real from a company with the same name. These days, social media seems to be full of pictures that they've been filtered or photoshopped or altered in some other way, but that's not the case with the Be Real, which is all about sharing an unaltered snapshot of your life in real time. That means no filters, no editing, just an authentic look at what users are doing at any given moment. Someone got their mic open there?
I'm looking.
Okay. Anyway, if you have wrinkles or messy hair or smudged makeup, assuming you're wearing makeup at all, it's all on the show. It's all on the show for your followers to see. Or in other words, it's the real you. And to editorialize a little bit, I find it telling and sad and comical that you need an app to be your authentic self with a digital footprint. I guess I'm just not the right demographic for this app. It's kind of funny. Next, the iPad app of the year is GoodNotes 5. It takes digital note-taking to the next level with a best-in-class Apple Pencil support. The Apple Watch app of the year is called Gentler Streak. It's a workout and fitness tracker. Gentler Streak responds to your readiness and proposes daily workout actions that keep you within healthy activity levels. Rest and active recovery are part of the actions that keep the streak going. So I thought it was pretty thoughtful. And the Mac app of the year is Mac Family Tree 10, which is a genealogy program for those of us interested in that sort of thing. The Apple TV app of the year is VIX, which is a channel designed for Spanish language programming content. And if you're a gamer if you're interested in that kind of thing, I would refer you to the Apple Newsroom post of November 28th. I'm not a big gamer person. Next up, in an internal memo obtained by Mac Rumors, Apple announced that it would be adding all Wi-Fi and cellular models of the third generation iPad mini to its list of obsolete products. According to the memo, the changes hasn't been made yet, but they're giving to their people a couple of weeks to get their affairs in order before the team's heads up to be ready for the change.
They won't stop working. What they mean is they won't service them.
Yeah. Well, once models are officially on the obsolete list, they will no longer be able to receive hardware service from repair center, meaning that customers can no longer get them repaired by Apple or one of its authorized service providers. You can still get it repaired by a third party, but those repairs will no longer be backed by Apple's warranty. Products that are obsolete are different than those that have been added to their vintage list. Still have some support options with Apple if they're on the vintage list. Owners of devices can still get service or parts from the device from Apple or a third-party service provider for at least 5 years after the company's last sold the device. And in some cases where the law requires that may be extended to 7 years for parts and service.
Just for information, that was introduced October 16th, 2014, the iPad Mini 3.
Yeah.
So that's only 8 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, mine is I have that model, and It's been a real workhorse, and sadly, its functionality is not quite the same as it used to be. But it was, it was great in its day. Next up, the FDA has approved Dexcom's G7 wearable for glucose monitoring for people with all types of diabetes. The company expects it to hit pharmacy shelves in 2023. The wearable is now cleared in the U.S. for people with all types of diabetes age 2 and older. It offers real-time connectivity for integrated insulin delivery systems and connect to other wearables such as the Apple Watch. The G7 can also integrate with some digital health apps. Like the previous G6 model, the G7 does not require finger sticks, scanning, or calibration. Instead, it sends glucose readings in real time every 5 minutes to a compatible device. Pretty helpful with we have tens of millions of people with dealing with diabetes here in this country, and anytime that they can make consumer products that help us along, I'm all in on that. Let's see. Oops, here. Okay, next up, Google announced that passkeys are now in the latest update to Chrome. That would be M108. Passkeys are a security feature effort from Apple, Google, Microsoft, and the FIDO Alliance. The FIDO Alliance is an open industry association launched in February of 2013, whose stated mission is to develop and promote authentication standards that help reduce the world's over-reliance on passwords. Apple announced support for passkeys at the WWDC event in June. They work across various browsers, websites, and apps. Users can sign into websites and apps with a passkey using biometric authentication, such as a Face ID or Touch ID. Next up, with the days of struggling to hear what your FaceTime partner says are over. Apparently, the live captions feature is new to iOS 16. It takes spoken conversations and displays them in written text at the bottom of the screen. The feature is handy during FaceTime calls where it may be challenging to hear. According to Apple, you can use live captions for podcast, video conferencing, and in-person conversations. All you need is an iPhone 11 or newer, an iPad with at least the A12 Bionic chip, or a Mac with a new Apple Silicon processor. Next up, some of us use Pixelmator Pro in lieu of other Adobe products. Well, there's an update to the Mac image editing app, and that allows the ability to import, edit, and export video using all of the existing photo tools. This version 3.2 lets you create videos and GIFs and animated movies. Pixelmator Pro will replace your nonlinear video editing, the NLE tools such as Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, or Adobe Premiere. Pixelmator Pro effectively lets an editor prepare a clip to use in an NLE. And finally tonight, it was just a matter of time. In the early hours of the morning of December 1st, Alaskan state troopers received an alert that a man traveling by snow machine from Norvik to Catskills had become stranded. The man was cold in a remote location with no connectivity at all. He activated the emergency SOS via satellite feature on his iPhone 14 to alert authorities of his predicament. Apple's Emergency Response Center worked with local search and rescue teams and the Northwest Arctic Borough Search and Rescue Coordinator. Volunteer searchers were then dispatched directly to the GPS coordinates that were relayed to Apple using the emergency function. The man was rescued successfully and there were no injuries. It was reported that troopers who helped with the rescue were impressed with the accuracy and the completeness of information included in the initial alert. The emergency SOS via satellite feature is designed to ask questions ahead of when an alert is set to expedite rescue missions. Emergency satellite via SOS is available on all iPhone 14 users. The feature is free for the first 2 years, and Apple has not yet provided detail on how much it will cost going forward. Satellite connectivity is available in North America at the current time, and I believe they just released its capability for France, Germany, Ireland, and the UK.
Yeah, that was just a couple days ago.
Yeah. And all of the links generated tonight will be distributed in a PDF by Bob White in his normal MacNexus email blast. I will post it later on in a Facebook page. Our Facebook page is a great forum for late-breaking curated Apple tech news and support, and we encourage everyone to come check us out. And that's it, Ken. Back to you.
Awesome. Al, there's a lot of work he put into that, and he finds all this stuff. And you know what? I mean, I read a lot of this Apple stuff, and he's always got things that I didn't know, and it's just wonderful. And I can't thank you enough, Al.
It's all good.
Great
Good.
job.
Yeah.
Mary has her real hand up.
Her real hand. Yeah, there was something, I heard a blurb on the radio about the newest update, security update for Apple, that it was going to make it so that when you transferred information to your phone, it was going to be your responsibility, was the words they used, but it was like, I just heard it in passing. So Al, do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, some of this stuff is just rolling out, and how, they, like I was saying, they've started to ratchet up some of the security stuff. I have in my email PDF, I've got a couple of links that, and I can send them directly to you, Mary, that talk a little bit about it. And some of the stuff is not going to be fully rolled out until the beginning part of 2023. And the data protection in iCloud, I think, was with like the first iteration. But they're going to make it so that if you're probably an advanced user and you're like a journalist or someone who's potentially might be hacked by a government or something, to make it even more difficult for to have your information accessed. And so we'll all probably have to get acquainted with a new set of protocols. But
it's actually sounds like it's going to be, you have the option to opt into it. And what a lot of the impetus is not necessarily hackers. It's in a lot of countries, they can make you unlock your phone, and they can go through your phone.
Really?
And yeah, and legally, or you don't get in the country. And so what this is going to do is be able to let you mask or not hide, but sequester stuff that you don't want to be seen, because.
Oh, okay.
So, and remember, this is Apple always working overtime to protect your security and your privacy, but it's tough because Apple sells in so many countries, they play to so many different masters.
Okay, well, thank you. But it sounds like when that starts rolling out, we might need to have a little discussion of what it does. Because I had the impression it was something like if you got a new phone and you wanted to transfer the data, that would be an issue. So that was just kind of the passing thing.
Yeah, they've made that so much easier, and it's locked down with your Apple ID. But yeah, if you, and we'll see. I mean, it's on the horizon, and Al did mention passkeys, which you're going to see more and more. And that's wonderful because you won't need passwords. And if you go back, I did a presentation on what passkeys is going to mean, and it's going to be fantastic. So I
posted a link here for you, Mary. Take a look at it. Talks a little bit about some of the new security initiatives.
Okay, thank you. It was just interesting. It was on the mainstream, radio, just a little passing comment. So thank you. I'll look it up.
Good deal. Again, Al, thanks so much. So any other questions for Al on any of that stuff? Because
there's a lot of it.
The way you presented it tonight was just spot on. I appreciate it.
Great.
And we all do.
It's again, some of the stuff, this latest OS, all of these new versions and stuff just got released Tuesday. So as the days unfold and it gets in the hands of people, we'll see how well they were able to do what they hope to do with this iteration of software. So I'm sure there'll be, like everything else, there's always more information forthcoming when people start to bang on it, and we see what shortcomings the software has, or what it's doing right and what it's doing wrong. So Stay
And
tuned.
all of this time, just be happy you're on Apple products because
Yeah.
Apple is really, luckily they've got enough money to make sure they can protect us. And that's just awesome. All righty. So thanks again. Very much appreciated. Now, Al mentioned iOS 16, and I'm going to just talk briefly about it. 16.2, excuse me, when I get full screen. Hang on here. Keynote. There we go. So there. All right. So 16.2 has come out within the last couple of days. It's fine to update to it. I recommend it. It's for the iPad. It's your Apple Watch gets like the 0.9 update. So any of these. And the big news is Ventura has gone to 16.1. And I always warn everybody, don't do any of these big Mac updates until it becomes a 0.1. Well, I've been a bit busy and I haven't really dissected it. I was tempted to upload it today, but I knew this was going to happen tonight. And I said, nope. And so I'm holding off because there's nothing compelling me to take a mission critical computer I have and go to Ventura. There's been some weird little anomalies and stuff, and I don't know if they're worked out yet. So as I always like to say is, everybody always thinks the grass is greener when they upgrade, but what they don't see, yes, the grass may be greener, but what they don't see is you still have to pull the weeds and mow the lawn. So I would be a little leery until the dust has settled. And if you can think of a compelling reason why you should upgrade to Ventura, then yeah, then there might be a reason. But be careful because sometimes things get broken, and it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to get broken by Apple. It's other products and other software people. So just be forewarned with that. What usually scares most of the people I know off is I always say, don't do that update unless you want to make me a very rich man. So that usually quiets everybody down. But, I think it's pretty solid. We have some people out here in the Apple user group in Lincoln Hills. Two guys that used to work for Apple and stuff, and they usually keep their pulse on it. And they haven't endorsed it yet, but I think they will pretty soon. And I'll know. We don't do any of our meetings up here in December, so we really haven't had much interaction, but I interact with these guys quite a bit. So you just be forewarned, but I'm not saying it's not going to be good. And I know Bob's been running Ventura. Al, have you been running Ventura?
I just uploaded it today. So,
and you're
stay
here.
tuned. And I'm
It
here.
works.
It didn't blow up on me.
Yeah, so good.
Stay tuned.
Be like Al. Be like Bob.
Not only that, I can on my laptop and on my other iPad, I'm running I'm always running the beta of the next version.
Right.
So.
Well, good.
But I used to do that when I was a working guy because I had a whole bunch of people to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. All righty. So 16.2, and I'm gonna go through a couple of my other tips and tricks and stuff here. But basically, the big thing with 16.2 and Ventura. Gosh, what is it? It's 14.2, 14.1. Anyway, there's this new app called Freeform. And so it's been a long time since we've gotten a new Apple app. This is from Apple. And while it's a really neat way to do, scratch your little thoughts out if you're thinking about something, it's just this free form, hence the name. Well, a free form way to put things on. And the cool thing is you can collaborate with other Apple users. So let's say you were planning a holiday get together and you wanted to figure out who's doing what food. Well, what you can do is everybody would have their own thing and everybody would put in their own input, and it's updating constantly. It's called collaboration, and it's going to be pretty neat. I have a short video I'm going to show you on it. This was brand new to me today. I have not had a chance to dissect it at all. By the time we have a first Saturday class, I will have used it a bit and we'll go from there. And basically this came out on December 13th, so yesterday. And this is from Apple's, this was an Apple press release. So it's brand new. It works across all your devices. You do have to be on Ventura, the 0.1 update of it, and you have to be on 16.2 on iOS. And then so does the other person, by the way. But it's great. We've got something new going, and I'm sure there's some going to be some tweaks to it. This is what it looks like on the App Store. And like here, like this cool thing is you got little notes about solar system and stuff. It's kind of like notes on steroids, but also that you can collaborate, and it's not as structured as notes. It's kind of a cross between pages and notes, and probably even, yeah, and then the fact that they can collaborate. So, where was my video?
Do you want to stop the recording, Ken?
Yeah, I want to find where the video is first, because let's see here. Well, I've got it in Safari, so I am going to pause the recording. Let's see here. Do I have to stop it? I should be able to pause it. Hang on. Well, this is pretty much the end anyway, except for the drawing. So I am going to stop the live stream because I cannot see a way to pause it. So you on the live stream, Al will have a link to the video that I did. So actually, before I do that, let me go to Safari. I've got a couple other things I'm going to do videos of: how to set up your medical ID, track your medications. I'm showing that now, so this is on the recording because Al's going to, and that way for the people that are going to be watching the recording of this. Also, tips and tricks. I'll go into this and then we'll come back to the two videos. So I was just in two pretty cold areas. I went from the Arctic in Iceland and I went down to Antarctica, and I got thinking about this, and I have these gloves that allow the lighter weight gloves that allow you to do touch sensitivity. And that's great. And that works really well, but it doesn't work fantastic. So I have trouble with it sometimes. So, and then if I'm using my camera, I have these gloves where the fingertip and the thumb just kind of pull off and just go out of the way, so you can use that. So the base part of your hand is warm. I actually have another whole mitten I have from Outdoor Research that is a Gore-Tex waterproof mitten over the top, and then it has a polar fleece liner, and all the fingers and the thumb come undone, but you still have the base of your hand doing it. So if you think about that, but the trickiest thing I did, and I got thinking about this before the trip, is when it's cold out and we don't get, I mean, what it's supposed to be pretty cold tonight, but can you imagine trying to take your phone out and start using your phone tonight? Just get a stylus. the old timey styluses that everybody used. In fact, I have one that's on a little springy lanyard, and I had it tied to my phone the whole time I was on both of these trips. And I could, even with mittens on, I was able to take it and use that to manipulate and unlock my phone. So simple styluses, like here, you get a 10-pack for $6.99. It doesn't need to be anything sophisticated. And a stylus for a capacitive discharge phone is all you need. You don't need the old pointed type styluses, but any stylus will work. So this is a great thing for cold weather, just so you know. And actually, while I was doing some other research tonight, I found that the tip of the day, if you want your bananas to last longer, you put a banana hat on them.
Yeah.
This came up on one of my feeds on my email, and I thought it was kind of humorous, but I figured I'd share that with you. I have no,
It works.
I don't know. I have no personal knowledge of this working or not working, but you know, heck, oh my God, they're $25. Well, no, I maybe look on Etsy, or, you know, what's funny is,
You know,
could-
a lot of times when they sell them at the, if you buy them in a bunch, they have at the grocery store, they have a plastic thing around there, and just leave it on.
oh, there you go. Absolutely.
Hey, you know what, Ken?
Yeah.
Those, look very closely at the one on the right. It looks like a thimble.
Yeah. Or I was thinking you could even take the thumb off of an old beat up glove that you don't need.
Sure.
So,
Or-
and I'm sure there's other things that we can think about that are about that
Or
size.
you can pick up a couple of plastic thimbles for a lot less than $25.
And then
Oh,
my
yeah.
last tip about bananas is
Eat 'em.
most people peel the banana from that long end. If you watch monkeys, they actually peel the banana from the short end, and you don't get as many of the strings. So you peel it from the end that doesn't, well, in this case, that doesn't have the hat on it. Harmon, you have a comment?
I got those from a place that didn't cost $25, but my wife and sister-in-law, to whom I gave them, refused to put them on the bananas. So they're just too weird.
Oh, and I look down here and it says, so while those look knitted, down here it says care. Reusable silicone cap can be cleaned with hot water and mild soap. So I think that's just their fancy looking, but silicone. So you could take and maybe that's it. Take a latex glove or something like that and cut the thumb off of it and see what it works. Or you know what they call them? Those little things on your fingers that you can, you know, they look like something else, but they just go on your fingers. There's some name for those. No, it's not. It's made specifically for fingers, for like people that are turning pages and things like that. So,
Well, at work, we called them fingers.
okay. So the other thing that's kind of cold weather, I always talk about this in the winter. This is my go-to site. It's, and Al, you can do this, ossweathershare.org. And actually, I'll chat it over to you right now. Everybody. So what this is, if I zoom in here a little bit, you just go to weathershare.org. And for instance, you can see Highway 80 and the green and the different traffic. This has all kinds of other things. You can see all kinds of different weather, the wind speeds, all of this stuff on the left. But if I just hover over this camera shows me that's the actual Caltrans cameras at the current time. Like if I'm going to go skiing, I look here, this is the camera to get off the road right into North Star, and I can only see what it's like. But also the CMS, you know, those big billboard signs, these are the real-time live feed from Caltrans, what those freeway signs are saying at the current time. So oss.weathershare.org, and it does pretty much the whole Western US. And then you can go in here and you can see like the wind gust forecast. And you can see the little arrows are populating here and stuff. And if we zoom out, that's all the different winds and the colors are different speeds. Just a killer site. And I want to put a shout out. Apple's weather on the iOS devices has improved dramatically. And it's using dark sky. And unfortunately, those of us that use dark sky and love dark sky, Apple purchased dark sky, and they're using that information in the weather app. And as of January 1st, dark sky won't work any longer. So I just wanted to talk about, one other thing is, I can't speak highly enough. I do podcasts all the time, podcasts and audiobooks. If you're not doing that, it's a great thing to do. You can listen to music when you're shopping in the store and things like that. But if you put some AirPods in your ear, I do one ear, because if you're walking around or you're at Costco, you don't want to be noise canceled and not hear things going on. So I just use one of the earbuds in one ear, and I'm always listening to something so that I'm accomplishing two things at one time. And if you happen to get a phone call, you just answer right on it. So I am going to now stop the